Welcome to Skills Practice 25. For question 1, we need to examine the structure of cyanide ion and then label the formal charges of each atom. Since we know that carbon is a -4 charge and nitrogen is a -3, the total charge of the entire ion then needs to be -8. So there needs to be one electron coming from either carbon or nitrogen, so we say that carbon is -1. It really could be nitrogen, but it just needs to come from somewhere. For question 2, we're supposed to consider the following two structures of CH and H2O. For part A, it asks, are both of the structures legitimate structures, which means do all the atoms have 8 electrons? Are the right number of electrons used? When you count up the total number of valence electrons for each element in the molecule, we find that both structures are legitimate because they all have 8 electrons in their outer shell, except for hydrogen because it only has 1, but that's still their valence shell is full. For B, we are asked to label each of the atoms in both structures with their appropriate formula charges. Since we know that nitrogen has a charge of +1 and oxygen has a charge of -1, the reason why we know this is because we're going to be counting up the total number of electrons in each element and then distributing the charges based accordingly. For part C, it asks which structure, A or B, is the best structure for CHN H2O, and then we're supposed to explain. Well, the answer to part C is that structure B is the best because it has the fewest non-zero formal charges. For question 3, we're asked to draw a structure for ClO3-1 and then label the formal charges of each atom. So first we're going to put down the central element, which is going to be chlorine. We know chlorine has a charge of -7. Then we're going to add 3 oxygen atoms branching off of chlorine. We know oxygen has a charge of -6. When we draw out the entire compound, we're going to get Cl with 2 lone pairs of electrons. Then we're going to get one oxygen with 2 lone pairs of electrons with a double bond. We're going to get another oxygen atom with a single bond and 3 lone pairs of electrons, and another oxygen with 3 lone pairs of electrons and a single bond with chlorine. We're then asked to label the formal charges of each atom. We find chlorine to be a +1 charge and oxygen to be -1. And that is Skills Practice 25.